Hey everyone, and welcome to another conversation of Parable Minutes. I am currently moving into my house and it is a mess, so I am here in the studio. I would very much like to welcome you to this conversation. Who we have in this conversation is really awesome. It is two good friends of mine. One of them is a writer. The other one is the person who's been managing Obey Singapore for the past 10 years. He also works in music and brings in amazing acts and bands. But one thing about these two is that they are both really amazing parents and they've created a beautiful home. And in this series, talking about the way we live, I felt that we could not start this year, 2021, without talking about the way we live, not just from a critically designed perspective, but just from a very intimate and personal perspective of a family who I really look up to and a family who I feel are doing things differently, but it will not be different for long because I feel a whole generation will be rising up that will want to live life in a way that is more than just about the job, more than just about the status. And these guys have created a beautiful life for themselves. So sit back and listen to this great conversation with Sue and Esmond.
How would you describe, what you do?
Just want to be a mom to my kids. We are homeschooling Skylar, and I think that's something that we do. I also am a writer. I've been a writer for most of my life. So I would say that I am a communicator.
I guess I would call myself an accidental entrepreneur. Like I somehow have been blessed with taking things of interest and kind of making it work into, into employment, basically. And I think the basis of it all is that I put family life first. So I kind of fit work into family life. I run a clothing distribution business, so I don't have to buy clothes. And I run a music publicity business as well. So I kind of keep up with what's going on in the world of music today. So those are the two main things I do for work. I guess at home, I am the de facto male of the family that struggles with.
The de facto male.
What?
Because there's bigger
by
personalities
consequence,
like,
being a man,
by
having man
consequence.
bits. When you think back into your childhood, like what are some of the most kind of like pertinent or like the most kind of vivid memories that you have growing up? Do you actually remember any physical things? Like, do you see anything like textures or colors?
Well, I remember my parents' living room the most. They had the same sofa for 30 years, and maybe every 10 years they would just reupholster it.
Do you know where the sofa's from?
I don't, but it used to have that kind of velvety upholstery with there's like a flower motif. So some parts are velvet and some parts are not. There's probably a proper term for it.
Millennials might call it obiang.
I think now it's cool,
Yeah, now it's cool and vintage.
Now there's no more obiang. Yeah.
And I have a mustard lamp from that house, which is in Elijah's room right now as well.
So you do remember the furniture actually?
Oh yeah, totally. We have some furniture in our
old place,
in our first house as well, like one of those 70s glass tables with the wooden round connected
those things
legs.
Are built to last.
Yeah.
Yes.
And my dad's green armchair that he can recline on. I have a photo of that of myself when I was 3 or 4 years old, and it's still in their house.
It's still
now.
there. You know what's really interesting? You remember the texture of the sofa. It's amazing how much our memory needs texture and color and shape. The memories that you have now of your mom, right? I feel like these pieces of furniture are kind of like these bookmarks, that help you remember these things. And the fact that you can go back to the house and see the cupboard and all that enables you to kind of access these memories again. What I find kind of scary, we live in such a throwaway culture where people look for new things all the time, and then this couch, okay, let's get rid of the couch. Let's get a new one. Let's get this, right? And I'm not dissing that because even I do that. I'm getting a new couch now, right? But then are we kind of forsaking the ability for our kids to one day access the memories in a more vivid way? That's one of the thoughts I had. How about you, Ez? What do you remember?
Think about.
I grew up in different places. I was born in Toronto, right? So I spent 5 years there, then came back to Singapore for 1 year, and then went to Taiwan for another 4 or 5 years. Then after that, came back here again, moved houses a couple of times. So I don't really have a firm memory of a home in that sense because we moved around quite a bit. And I think it's very kind of prevalent with third culture kids who've moved around a lot. So I think for me, I have fragments of memories in different places.
Yeah.
Friends of mine always wonder why I have a personal affinity to Canada, even though I only spent my childhood there, right? It's because I think that place also represented some of my best memories,
Wow.
Growing up in a house there. My family was happiest at that time as well.
Your memories are tied a lot more to like relationships and, like you said, the time when your family was the happiest, right? The way that you have created your house, is it more practical for you, or is it more emotional, or is it both? Or how would you describe the way that you put your house together?
Definitely both, because I guess we make sure that we don't dictate the house by a certain design theme. We want to include elements that are very true to us. I love poster collecting and art, and Skylar does as well. She loves drawing and all that. So we kind of infuse all of these elements into the home. I guess it's also a safe sanctuary for the kids as well.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the mess sometimes, It does have a very strong personal touch to who we are as a family.
I mean, I'm much less okay with the mess. So I have to die to myself every single day living with 4 other people. But I also learn from Esmond. I learn from other friends whose homes I visited, and it may be messy, but I love the vibe in the home because they allow the mess. Their children are able to be safe to create because they were allowed to take different things from different places and make a mess and do things that otherwise would be like, oh, please keep it, don't mess up, don't mess the floor, like get rid of that stuff. So I'm constantly reminding myself of things like that.
Wow.
That I need to just allow that if I want my children, and even for Esmond, to have that room to be creative, because that's what I desire as well.
What you're saying here is that we spend so much time in this environment that actually the home from a young age is conditioning us. Whether they come out creative, whether they come out being able to make mistakes and be okay with that, actually the home plays a massive part of that. And even with Esmond, I think that's so fascinating. I want to ask you more about that actually, Esmond. Your poster collecting and displaying in the home. What do you think that does for you when you put posters up, your collection, and you see this stuff?
It's a fair bit of just me going back into time and really enjoying just picking up things. I think that's one of the ways I discovered things when I was younger. I'll walk on the streets and I'll see a little stone or a rock that's nice, and I'll pick it up. And I see that happening with my daughter. Like she picks up leaves and little gemstones or whatever that she sees on the street. And it's from there that maybe led to all that.
It's amazing how that behavior is kind of like innate to like humans, right? When kids go to the beach, they collect seashells, they bring it home. Yeah. I mean, there's a whole display of stuff on my son's desk right now, of like random pieces of concrete. And now as we get older, like we do the same thing, right? We go traveling and we pick up something and we want to display it. It's kind of like I'm not sure what it is exactly, but it's this ability to kind of like just locate your journey and remind yourself the places that you've been. I love that, a home being a gallery for what you value, what's important to you. You mentioned sanctuary, we talked about gallery, but for you personally, what should a home be?
It's comfort, one of my practices that I like to do, especially at night, is when everyone's asleep, is I just like going to the kids' room and staring at them. Well, it's a bit creepy, but I just enjoy sitting down and looking at them sleep, because
it's creepy if it's not your kids, but if it's but the fact that you're their dad, I think that's very comforting.
I like my home to be filled with life. Simple as that. I've always enjoyed having the kids at home, hearing the sounds of little children's feet patting on the floor as they're walking or crawling, and just the sound of just having life in the home. I think that sums it up to me. That really doesn't matter where we are, which country we're in, or the kind of home that we're in, but as long as there's life in it and that life is connected to me, and I'm part of that, then I think to me that's home.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, Sue. How do you feel doing family life at home has changed? How much has it changed now? And what does that mean for work? What does that mean for time to bond? What does that mean for studies?
I think the lines have been a bit blurred. Your work day suddenly becomes meshed in with your family time, suddenly becomes meshed in with your meal times.
Who works and eats lunch?
Sometimes we discount the fact that because we see our kids all the time and they're with us all the time,
Yeah.
it counts to quality time with them, but it doesn't.
Something that I started during the circuit breaker was that I would choose a storybook, and usually it would be a local writer, and I would read it to them at night. Like, even though they're old, but it's not a baby or a children's book. And they seem to really, really enjoy that.
They've been enjoying playing board games with us quite a lot. I think quality time for them really means that our attention is really focused on them.
What's really important to you guys is kind of like finding that quality time to connect with your kids as well. Like story time, for example, right? I wonder, like in my career, how many briefs have I heard for a home that said, can you design a bedroom for story time? Now, I don't really get those kind of briefs very often. The briefs I get is like, can you design me a bedroom that's really impressive? Or give me like a bay window. Wouldn't it be great if we had briefs that said, a house is meant to like draw out what's on the inside of a person. They should be able to feel comfortable enough and triggered enough by the things around us to like have these conversations to like draw out what's on the inside. And we don't really get that. And I think that's something that I would love to see. What would you guys change about the way people live at home, how they design a home, how they furnish a home?
It's so tempting for us to just fill the space immediately, right? With things that look nice. But then what we realized in this home is it needed to be lived in first with some basic elements. And then we'll build from there.
It's so true, especially with our homes. Like we have this need to like move into completion, so to speak, right? But then we don't kind of like give it the time to like evolve and for us to like kind of fill the spaces differently. Again, that is a mindset that has been kind of stuck into us. Like it's gonna be fast, it's gonna cost money. We have a contractor here. Let's just get it done, like everything, and like have it all ready. But then maybe it's about changing the mindset and educating people about the process of what makes a home important.
Yeah, I bring it back to Singapore, I guess. A lot of people in Singapore live in very small homes. So I think that just with the space constraint, right, you are kind of forced to be very practical with the way that you have your home. But I think as we were talking today, I also see how important it is to create space that is life-giving, right? Create space that allows you to live and to enjoy your life together in the home. And I think maybe that's something that, like what you said, to be able to educate people more or just have that greater awareness that your home is a place where you can learn to appreciate the people living in it with you and to create space within your home for that, even if it is a small space.
What a great conversation. I love speaking to Esmond Sue. What they had to say was so important. To hear about the way that we live from a family who are in their own right creating and designing the home. It's so important in the world right now where we think about design from a very technical, from an aesthetic, from a functional standpoint. It is really important to think about how are we designing homes from a very emotional standpoint. A home doesn't just fulfill a need for facilitating lifestyle, but something that we're learning from this conversation is that a home really pushes out people. A home creates and molds, and it is a context in which people are grown and people grow up in. So whether you're a developer, a designer, whether you are a creator, whether you are a homemaker, I hope that this conversation has given you a really good insight. It is the way that we design in Parable. The way that people feel and live is really much at the heart of our philosophy. I feel that you catching that as well would be so useful for whatever industry you're in. Thank you so much for tuning in for this episode of Parable Minutes.